for $1,800 is the balance. And that is what makes it so dangerous. Is not some insane number that instantly looks impossible. Is not the kind of debt that makes someone sit up in bed at 3 in the morning after one terrible decision. Is just $4,800. And the frustrating part is that you can remember almost every piece of it. A car repair that could not wait. A flight home because something happened in the family. A few grocery runs during months when everything felt more expensive than it used to. A medical copay that showed up at the wrong time. A birthday dinner you did not want to skip. A week when the paycheck arrived after the bill was already due. None of it felt reckless. And none of it felt like the beginning of something long and expensive. Every charge had a reason behind it. That is what people miss when they talk about credit card debt. They talk like it always starts with someone being careless, impulsive, or completely out of control. But a lot of credit card debt starts with ordinary life arriving at the wrong time. The card is sitting there. Always available. Always approved. Always ready to make the math work for 30 more days. And in the moment, the card does not feel like debt. It feels like relief. You swipe. The payment goes through. The pressure drops. And the immediate problem disappears. The card did exactly what it promised to do. It made today easier. The cost of that relief was moved somewhere else. Then the statement arrives. Balance for $1,800. Minimum payment due, $144. Your eyes go straight to the second number. Because $144 feels survivable. You can find $144. You can make that payment. You can stay current. So you pay it on time. Responsibly. And for a short moment, it feels like you handled the situation. But you did not really handle it. You stepped into the exact place the system was designed to keep you standing. Current. Paying. Relieved enough to continue. But nowhere close to free. That is how the credit card trap works. Not by making the debt look terrifying, but by making the payment look manageable. Those are not the same thing. A manageable payment can hide a brutal timeline. Take that $4,800 balance at 24.99% APR, a rate that is not unusual on many credit cards. A minimum payment may land somewhere around $144 a month. That number does not feel good, but also does not feel impossible. So the person pays it and feels responsible. They did not miss the due date. They did not damage their credit score. They did what the statement asked. But inside that payment, something ugly is happening. In the first month, roughly $100 of that $144 can go directly to interest. Only about $44 actually reduces what is owed. The credit card company collects its money first. Every single time. Before the balance moves in any real direction. Then the same thing happens next month. And the month after that. Because the balance falls so slowly. Interest keeps finding something substantial to charge against. That is why credit card debt can feel so confusing. You are paying. You are trying. And you are not ignoring the bill. But the balance barely moves. It feels like walking up an escalator that is moving down. Your effort is real. But the structure is working against you. Pay only the minimum. Never charge another dollar. And that $4,800 balance can take around 22 years to disappear. Over that time, the interest can reach around $6,200, meaning you can pay more in interest than the entire original balance, simply because the repayment was stretched as slowly as the contract allowed. That is not a glitch. That is the model. Minimum payments are not designed to get you out quickly. They are designed to keep the account active, current, and profitable. Current means you are not late. Free means you do not owe it anymore. Credit card statements are very good at making current feel like progress. But current is not freedom. The warning is usually already printed on the statement. The Credit Card Act of 2009 requires issuers to show how long it would take to pay off the balance if you make only minimum payments, and how much you would pay in total. Most people have seen that little box, but almost nobody reads it the way it is meant to be read. The timeline says 22 years. The payment line says $144. Most eyes go straight to the number that feels manageable. That is the trap. Not just the spending. The trap is treating a manageable monthly payment and a manageable overall situation as if they are the same fact. They are not. A payment can fit inside your month and still steal years from your future. Then the $4,800 stops being one event and starts becoming part of financial life. Another car repair arrives in month 8. The holiday season shows up in month 11. And credit feels like the only flexible option left, because the minimum payment has already eaten the breathing room that used to exist in the budget. A subscription renews. A school expense appears. A medical bill lands. A friend invites you out. None of this looks like financial destruction. It looks like Tuesday. So the card comes out again. Maybe just for $28. Then $64. Then $113. Small charges. Normal charges. Human charges. But they land on a card that already has a balance. And that balance is already charging interest every single day. At first, the card was a backup plan. Then it became a bridge. Then it became part of the budget. Eventually, it becomes the quiet solution every time the month does not add up. That is the loop. The card helps you survive a shortfall. Then the payment for that shortfall creates the next shortfall. Then the card becomes necessary again. The problem starts feeding itself. Not because someone is evil or stupid, but because the previous month has already taken money from this one. This is where shame starts to grow. Because from the outside it can look like bad behavior. From inside the month, it often feels like survival. The minimum payment already took $144. That money used to be groceries, gas, or part of the electric bill. So this month is tighter. And because this month is tighter, the card starts looking useful again. Nobody announces the moment the card changes roles. There is no warning that says, this is no longer emergency use. Just a little more pressure. A little less cash. And a balance that was supposed to go down starts moving sideways. Sometimes it goes up. By month 18, the original $4,800 may be sitting closer to $6,500. Even though the person carrying it would honestly say they never did anything extreme. They were not buying luxury watches, taking first-class vacations, or trying to impress anyone. They were living a normal life, on top of a debt that charges rent for existing. And that rent is due every single day, whether anyone is paying attention or not. That is what makes credit card debt different from almost every other kind of debt. A mortgage usually has a fixed end date. A car loan usually has a fixed end date. But a credit card balance paid at the minimum, while life keeps adding new charges, has no real ending. It shrinks a little, grows again, waits, and survives. Eventually people stop checking closely, because checking feels awful. They know it is bad. They just do not know exactly how bad. This is why credit card debt is not only financial. It changes how your paycheck feels. You work the same hours and earn the same money. But part of the paycheck is already gone before the month even starts. Rent gets paid. Utilities get paid. Food gets bought. The credit card minimum leaves. And then another bill arrives. Suddenly the card starts looking useful again. That is when even a decent income can feel strangely weak. The money is arriving, but less of it is available. So people start looking for a way out. And the first attempt is usually a balance transfer. A new card offers 0% interest for 12 or 18 months. That can work, but only if the promotional period becomes a payoff period. Most people do not use it that way. They move the balance. The pressure drops, and the old card suddenly has available credit again. For a few months, everything feels cleaner. Then normal life returns. Old habits come back on the old card. The promo window starts running out. And when the promotional rate expires, The balance is still mostly there. That is not escape. That is relocation. The second attempt is consolidation. One personal loan. One monthly payment. Maybe a lower rate. Maybe a cleaner dashboard. This can help when used correctly. But consolidation fixes the shape of the debt. It does not automatically fix the leak that created it. If the cards stay active, and the monthly budget is still short, 6 months later there is a consolidation loan, plus new credit card balances. The third attempt is paying a little extra without a real plan. An extra $20. An extra $50. Whatever feels possible that month. This is better than only paying the minimum. But it often fails emotionally, because there is no finish line attached to it. The person does not know whether that extra $50 changes the payoff from 22 years to 8 years, or from 22 years to 19 years, because the math was never actually run. They are guessing at progress. And guess progress is hard to sustain. The fourth attempt is waiting for life to calm down. After the holidays. After the bonus. After the raise. After this busy season. But life rarely becomes calm enough to force a financial reset on its own, while the waiting continues. Interest keeps collecting on schedule. The way out is less dramatic and more mechanical than most people expect. First, get the real number. Not just the balance, but the real payoff timeline, the real total interest, and the real date when the debt disappears if you keep doing what you are doing. Open the statement. Look at the minimum payment warning box. Use a payoff calculator. Enter the balance, the APR, and the payment. It takes a few minutes, and it may feel uncomfortable, but that discomfort is useful. Knowing the number is painful for a short time. Not knowing it can cost years. The goal is not to shame yourself. The goal is to turn a vague fear into a specific problem, because specific problems can be solved. Second, stop letting the credit card company choose the payment amount. The minimum payment is their number. You need your number. Pick a fixed payment tied to a real payoff date, often somewhere between 3 and 5 years for many balances in this range. Treat that payment like rent. Non-negotiable. Scheduled automatically, and not adjusted based on how the rest of the month went. The difference between the 22-year minimum payment path and a 4-year targeted payoff on a $4,800 balance can be thousands of dollars in interest. Same balance, different payment, completely different outcome. That difference lives in the number written on the payment line each month. Third, remove the card from everyday spending. Paying down a balance while still using the card for shortfalls is like draining a bathtub with the faucet still running. The progress is real, but the water keeps returning. Remove the card from shopping apps, food delivery, and subscriptions where possible. Make it slightly harder to reach than the debit card. Credit card companies understand friction, so use friction too. Not as punishment, but as protection for the payoff plan. Fourth, build a small cash buffer before chasing anything else. Not a full emergency fund, just $500, then $1,000. A small amount that prevents the next ordinary surprise from becoming new debt. Without that buffer, the payoff plan is fragile. One repair, one medical bill, or one unexpected expense can undo 2 months of progress and send the balance in the wrong direction. The buffer is not there to make you feel wealthy. It is there to keep the plan alive when real life happens. Fifth, make the budget honest. Not perfect, just honest. If groceries are really $650, do not write $400 because $400 makes the plan look better. If the car needs repairs every few months, stop calling every repair a surprise. If December is always expensive, December should not shock the budget every year. Credit cards love unrealistic budgets. Every underestimated category becomes another swipe. There is something worth saying directly here. Carrying a credit card balance does not mean you failed at money. It often means a system designed by people with far more information. Worked exactly as it was built to work. On someone living a real life. And occasionally needing 30 extra days to make that life add up. The shame around credit card debt is expensive. It keeps people from looking. It keeps them away from the payoff calculator. It keeps them quietly making the minimum payment for years, instead of sitting down for 10 honest minutes and finding out exactly what they are dealing with. The moment that calculation gets run, something changes. Not because the number is small, but because the fear becomes specific. A balance, an APR, a payment, and a date. Then the balance starts to fall. Below $4,000. Then below $3,000. Then below $2,000. The first emotional win is not being debt-free. The first emotional win is seeing the balance finally losing. A number that once felt permanent starts looking temporary. One day the final payment clears. No dramatic announcement. No movie scene. Just an app screen showing zero. But the next paycheck arrives. And for the first time in a long time, that old balance does not take a piece of it. The money feels different. Not because you became rich, but because your past stopped billing you. That is what credit card debt quietly takes. The feeling that your income belongs to your life. And that is what paying it off gives back. The minimum payment will always feel like the easier number. It was built to feel that way. But $144 for 22 years is not easier than a calculated payment that closes the debt in 4. It only looks easier in the 30 seconds it takes to make the payment. So when the next statement arrives, do not only ask, "Can I make the minimum?" Ask the question that actually changes the outcome. What would it take to be done with this completely? Because the goal is not to stay current forever. The goal is to become free. Current means the account is satisfied. Free means your paycheck belongs to your life again. And those are two very different lives. If this changed how you will look at your next credit card statement, subscribe. Because most financial traps do not arrive looking like traps. They arrive looking convenient, feeling normal, and fitting neatly into the month. By the time the cost becomes obvious, the habit is already formed. Here, we break down the financial structures that quietly shape everyday life. In plain numbers, without shame, every week.